What's up, everybody?
Wait,
Today is August 7th, 2024, and I am here with, from the other side of the world, Hamudi Hassan in New Zealand. What's up, Hamudi?
what's up, man? How you doing, brother?
Fantastic. Um, what time is it there? What time is it there?
8 a.m. now.
8 a.m. on
I
Thursday,
think
right?
we live
And
in the
I am
future.
You are in the
Yeah.
future. Hamudi is in the future. I am in the past. It is 4 o'clock here. So I really appreciate we had to work this out because I think you're 16 hours ahead of us. And then tomorrow morning,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually have to
yeah.
talk to do you know Anna James over in Australia?
Anna
Are you familiar?
James? No.
Are you familiar with her? She owns Inked INKD.
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
So
I've been across
tomorrow
it, yeah.
morning, so I already did a podcast with her, but
Yeah.
we're doing a part two because I haven't released it because she's got this story that I really want to hear, and we weren't able to get it the first time.
Oh, nice.
So the reason I'm bringing that up is because I'm talking to you right now, 4 o'clock, and then tomorrow
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got to
yeah.
be back here at 6 o'clock in the morning so I could talk to her. You know what I mean?
Because I think,
So
yeah, they behind us 2 hours, I believe.
yeah, she's 14 hours ahead and you're 16 hours ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I saw one thing, Hamudi. So one thing I noticed about you, I'm looking at your Instagram. I always stalk everyone's Instagram right before
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go. I talk to them, and you have one of the cleanest Instagrams. You think all your pictures are clean, meaning there's no distractions all over the place, looking all crazy. It's very clean pictures. They're very high resolution. Everything is like
Yeah.
perfect, and I'm like, oh my god, I hope our thumbnail makes it on his page when I do a clip of this.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of style I really wanted to go for. I believe I saw somebody overseas in Sweden. I can't remember the name. I came across it once and I was like, yes, this is very clean. And I wanted to do something, where it's not really distracting for clients.
It makes sense. I mean, it's very clean. It's very, very clean. And your work is great too, by the way, for everyone listening. His work is
Thanks,
really
bro. I
good.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
I saw you recently were training with Yusuf from Joe SMP. Were you trainer? What were you guys doing there? What happened there?
So before I left, actually, because I used to speak to him quite often now and then, always get
Uh,
advice. And I guess it was something that I said, oh, maybe in the future I'll run into him. And as New Zealand's a bit small, so it's very hard to like get educational and trying to expand and learn more because we don't really have a big community except Australia. But it's like you kind of have to go there or they come here, but the timing's always different. So, but I really wanted to go to Dubai. I don't know, something like always intrigued me to go there. And I've spoke to Sam from Oliver Mayer, so he owns a studio there in Dubai. And then we spoke back and forth. He's like, hey, man, why don't you just come out here in Dubai and give it a crack, see what you think? And I was like, man, I've been manifesting this and it's coming true. So I ended up, booking a ticket ahead and I was like planning everything. And when I went there, Joe was there at the same time. And I was like, well, this is a coincidence, we're there at the same place, at the same studio. I was like, this cannot be happening. But it was great actually meeting him in real life, man. The guy is so humbled, sharing his skill. And as as an artist, sometimes people kind of gatekeep things. They don't really want to, because that's their signature move. But
mhm.
this guy was just like literally, I like shocked him. I was watching him like nonstop for 2 weeks straight, working beside him. And eventually we came up with a team. He's like, hey, why don't we create a team here in Dubai and us three do something where this will be our one of our bases. We go. He's in America from Michigan. I'm from New Zealand. Sam lives in Dubai, and then like every probably 2 times a year, we go meet there and get clients. And I was like, cool. But yeah, since I've been back, man, I've been getting quite a lot of inquiries now, booking people for December when I go back. So the market's pretty good there. People still getting to know what SMP is as well, which is great. And you got the whole GCC countries as well. So you got like Saudi, Oman, Qatar. Those places don't have SMP, so they're traveling to Dubai to get SMP done.
Which, yeah, and to touch on that, so For those who don't know, Joe SMP Yusuf, he's a fucking beast. He is a monster. He is so fucking good. And he's only 30. Like, I just saw did you see his birthday was recently? He's only 30
Yeah,
years
yeah,
old.
because
I'm
I
like,
was,
"Holy shit, dude."
yeah, when I was there, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm 29." I was like, "Damn, I'm older than you."
How old are you? I
But
know
yeah, man, I'm 33.
33, okay, I'm 36.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I have a
30.
question about so that's a congrats on getting more clients over in the Dubai. It looks awesome in
Cheers, man.
Dubai, it also looks really hot, and I my fear
Right.
about going to Dubai is that I do something stupid and get myself in trouble, right? Because 'Cause they're pretty strict over there with some of their rules, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be a little on edge. Um, and I know, Mark Allen from, Creative Scalps goes out there a lot too. I think he actually opened a shop there. But here's my question, because most people I'd say predominantly are Muslim out there, right? So I've had interactions here where I had a guy who is Muslim. He comes in, he's like, "Is that a tattoo?" And I say, "It's not a tattoo. It's scalp micropigmentation. It's similar to a tattoo."
Mm.
Some of them are like, "Cool, okay, I'll get it." Some of them are like, "I can't." Now, how does that impact, business over there? Did that happen at all?
That kinda started when I spoke to the owner of, the owner there, so he was having trouble. He's from the UK, he's been living in Dubai for 2 years, and so we spoke to some of those, the guys at the mosque and stuff like that. So they said if it's not something to show off, like, a normal tattoo, which sometimes people design it and just to like show, and if it's just for look and appearance and confidence, then it's not haram. That's what we say. So they passed that by, looking into it more. And since that happened, yeah, a lot of people, I mean, you still have those guys still on the edge who are very, Islamic, very straight. Like I'm Muslim myself, but then you got guys who are fully strict, so they kind
Yeah.
of stand behind that. But then you got guys who are very open-minded, like myself. Like I've got tattoos, and but I'm still, I'm still Muslim. I don't go around and say, oh, this and that. But yeah, there's a lot of open-minded people there. And to be honest, since I went there, the last time I've been there, I was real young, so I never really experienced Dubai for what it is. But since I went back now, it's very multicultural, very open-minded, everyone doing their own thing. So the place is growing. It's amazing, and the safety is crazy. But like you said, there are laws in place that you cannot really do things.
That's great news. That's really good news to hear. So basically, what you're telling me is, okay, so if I'm not getting a big dragon tattoo, which I have, but if you know what I mean, if you're not going to be all flashy, then it's okay. It's
Correct.
accepted because you're just trying to, hey, I just want to get my self confidence back. I want to reframe my face, restore my hairline, whatever the case is. They're cool with that. That's really good news. I'm going to definitely use that in my future encounters. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there was a video as well, which I actually need to upload, probably translate it into English, where they actually had the interview with one of the guys from the mosque, where they actually interviewed him on live. He was on live TV, so somebody called him up, and he was trying to get SMP as well. And then when he got the okay from it, the student went. So it kind of opened up the door for us as well as Muslims and other Muslims that coming into and trying to get SMP. And I can tell you, man, it's the amount of boldness in Dubai, and it's crazy because their water is so bad. So a lot of people end up getting bold, um, and that has affected on them as well because they're getting a lot of hair transplants. And I could not tell you the amount of failed hair transplant I saw there. It's crazy.
Wha um, so a few things there. One, I wanted to touch so the water. Isn't it crazy that the water you're saying they have bad water, and I'm assuming because it's a
Yeah,
desert, right? So it's very scarce, they're
correct.
probably getting some imported. But isn't it wild how we have so much technology? They're right next to an ocean. How can we not figure out how to take ocean water, take the salt out, take out all the bad stuff, and keep the good, fresh, cleaning water, in bulk, in a large quantity, in
Yeah, yes, yes,
volume.
yes.
Why can't we do that yet?
I mean, I believe it would eventually happen. As you can see, technology is moving so fast now. So I reckon between, some stage somebody will come and create something. But I guess that comes down to like probably politics and stuff like that. They, money
Yeah.
makers who
Yeah,
probably
because
don't want
then
to
the
do
people
these
who
things.
control the
Or
water, right? The people who control the fresh
exactly
drinking water are like, "Ah, we can't let them have free fucking water all the
losing
time."
business now.
Yeah, just like oil, right? Just like oil, the oil companies don't want the electric because that takes money away from the oil
Exactly.
business. Yeah.
For
And,
sure. For sure.
um, yeah, Dubai looks amazing. I could probably be on my best behavior just to visit. Looks really hot. I saw they had a crypto
Man,
conference there a couple do you follow any of the crypto stuff, the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stuff
I'm a
like that?
heavy investor in Bitcoin.
Oh, good for you. Fuck yeah. It's it's
I'm a
it's
heavy
rough right
investor,
now.
bro.
It's rough right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's
The
when you
past 3
buy, when no
days.
one talking about
Yeah.
it.
But in
Yeah.
there was that big Bitcoin conference over I think it was probably about a month ago, and there was a it rained like 2 feet or something like that. Did you see
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. They had the flood. Yeah, they had the flooding there. It was crazy. But
What
to be honest, as a country, they're very quick, man. Like they cleaned the whole streets, everything just within no time. It's crazy how the place is so developed with a shorter period of time.
do you think it's because I mean, it's probably my theory I'll tell you my theory, Hamudi. It just basically Saudi Arabia kinda those I mean, those are, like, probably the richest people in the world because rich because 'cause they're richer than Elon Musk, they're richer than the Rothschilds, they got all the Saudi Arabians,
Yeah, yeah.
right? All the oil money, but they don't have to publicly disclose how much money
Prince.
they have,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They basically kinda own Dubai, right? They just build shit there, but they don't technically own it. I don't know, that's how I kinda see it.
I think yeah, because Saudi Arabia, man, it's crazy. I went there actually while I was in Dubai. I went there,
Did
and
you?
that country, yeah, that country. I mean, it's going to take a long time to develop because it's real big compared to Dubai. But the way they're moving, at the speed they're going at, I mean, probably they said within 2030 or 35, something crazy going to happen there. And I think it's great because it's these countries are developing so fast, and they want to attract a lot of people, give them a lot of benefit. I mean, the safety in Dubai was crazy, man. Like I've never seen a place that safe before, except Taiwan when I went there.
Really, Taiwan? Is I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
man, I love that
Vietnam.
place. It's probably the cleanest place I've ever been to.
Wow, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Did
Yeah, yeah.
did you see that thing that they're building out? I think it's in Saudi Arabia or maybe it's Dubai, one of those places.
That
The
wall.
line
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
line,
The wall. The line.
and
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's, equivalent to 100 miles, but they're cut short, and it's supposed to be this whole city. On the outside, it's mirrors, and it's like
yeah,
a, futuristic city all inside, 4 stories high, in the middle of the desert, all self-sufficient,
yeah.
like an aircraft carrier, which they're also building an aircraft carrier that looks like a giant turtle. Did you see that thing
I'm
too?
telling you, man, these guys living in the future. Literally,
They
they
got the
are. They're
money
living
too,
in the
right, to
future.
build the shit.
They got the money. I say money talks, bullshit walks.
So what was your experience? Why did you end up going to Saudi Arabia? You just went to visit for a day or
I
2?
went to Mecca actually. I
Oh,
went to
cool.
Mecca. Yeah, that was on my wish list for I don't know since I was very young, and it happened so quick. And I ended up there, and I was like, wow, it was an amazing experience. Yeah, something that it's different. It's hard to describe to people until like whoever's Muslim or anybody can go and feel it themselves.
That's the, is that referred to as, like, the Holy Land? I know what you're talking about, the
The Holy
big
Land, yeah, correct.
yeah. I've seen
Yes.
videos of there, a lot of people go there, a lot of people, and everyone's always dressed really
Oh man,
nice.
it's packed. Yeah, yeah.
Was it worth it? Did you have fun?
Oh, I enjoyed it, man. I went by myself. Everything it went so smooth. It's crazy. They built the train all the way from the airport down there. Sorry, yeah, the train which they never had before. So it was like boom, direct you in that speed train, which was a nice experience. I've never been on one before.
So how long did it take from the airport to get to the Mecca?
1 hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was just straight. So it's quite far, obviously, in train if you're going to drive there. But yeah, it was direct, man. 1 hour and you were there. And the whole city in Mecca there, where the holy place is just AC everywhere. And as soon as you leave, it's hot, man. That place is hot. Like literally, it's so hot.
But, I mean, are you used to the heat being in New Zealand?
Oh, well, it doesn't really get too hot here. Even if it does, the sun here is different because we don't have ozone layers, so it actually burns you. Like you feel like
Okay.
you're getting burnt. And that's the downside about New Zealand summer. It's nice at times, but if you're staying out in the sun for too long, nah, man, it's definitely gonna. You can feel it's burning you. It's not a nice heat,
Um,
and the winters are cold.
okay. And did is there
Yeah.
mountains in New Zealand too?
Oh man, for sure. If you go to be honest, you see, like every time I come from the airport to New Zealand, I run into a lot of Americans. And the first thing I say, I'm like, "Are you guys going to Queenstown?" They say, like, "Yeah, we're going there." Queenstown, I think it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. That's where a lot of The Ring as well being done, and some other movies. It's all on those places.
Oh, that's where they filmed Lord of the Rings? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. That
Okay.
one and Wellington as well. So those places have been filmed. That's where Lord of the Ring was being filmed.
My friend
But
Brian, I
Queenstown, man, it's crazy.
that's the tourist area, right?
Oh, like it's unreal. Like even pictures cannot do satisfaction there.
I've seen 'em. They have the bungee jumping out there too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bungee jumping, speedboats. It's a very touristic place, so you go out there and experience all the jet boats and all that stuff. But it's an amazing place. Probably a couple of days there, then that's it. You don't want to overdo it.
Oh, I'd love to go to New Zealand. It looks amazing. It looks amazing. The furthest I've
Bro,
been
it's
out
beautiful,
was,
man.
Hawaii. How far is Hawaii from New Zealand?
Oh no, that's far,
Is
very
it?
far. That's more close to
Okay.
you guys.
Well, I'm on the East Coast. Oh, I guess you're right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
thinking
it's more close to you guys. No, New Zealand's super fast. We're close to Antarctica. That's why it's
okay.
cold here, man. Yeah, yeah.
I also noticed I as I was looking through your Instagram, you did the videos with River the barber, and so for those of you who don't know, I had randomly seen this guy, River the barber, through I don't know,
I'll
over the
tell you a
past
story
year or
about it,
2.
but yeah.
He he looks I mean, he dresses like a 1920s mob boss, early 1900s mob boss, and he looks great. He looks great. He's got a full head of
Yeah,
hair.
yeah, yeah,
He's got a couple face tattoos, but
yeah.
his style and
Yeah.
he's really went pretty viral, not really talking, just showing his different
Yeah,
looks.
yeah.
And I like that. So how did that happen? How'd you link up with him?
So I used to my previous background, obviously in sales, and I've done so many jobs, and then I got into barbering. So I was barbering for about 13 years.
Oh, okay.
And River used to work for me, yeah. So River used to work for me. So he was one of my colleagues. We used to he worked for me for about 4 years. And the guy, man, like, he went through a rough patch in life and whatnot, obviously with his dad in there. But the way he came out of it it's crazy. Obviously, he's Christian, found Jesus, Lord, and went to church and stuff. So he became so, like, really into his faith and belief. And when I sold my businesses, obviously him and the other guy left because they didn't want to work for the other dude that owned the business. So we kind of all went separate ways. And then he ended up moving to the city, working there. And then yeah, one day he decided the barber needed a bit of a nice look because the area is very business area. Everyone suits and stuff. So he just started getting into it, and then before you knew it, this guy just blew up within a couple of months. His thing just skyrocketed, and he goes, "Man, a lot of my followers are actually from America and Mexico, apparently." So he's
So
got a
he
lot of people from Mexico.
so he used to be your coworker, or you were like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
manager
yeah.
there or something, and he worked
No, I
for
used to
at
own the businesses. I used to have two shops.
Oh, shit. Oh, okay. We'll go
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
go
yeah,
into
yeah,
that. So you own 2
yeah, yeah.
barber shops,
Two
and
barbershops. Yeah,
he worked for you, and
yeah,
then
4 years.
after you guys split, he moves to the city, and he's like, "I'm gonna change my style," and fucking blows up on
He changed his whole
Instagram.
life, man. I can tell you, this guy went from this person that he didn't really know where he was going, what he wanted to do, to this person that he just went boom, social media influence, and but he's a very creative guy. He's on the creative side because he was a rapper as well. So like like they're always very creative in what they actually do in their craft, and he's an amazing barber as well. Like really really good, and kind of combine those two, and then he just blew up. Like I've never seen an Instagram blow up like within a couple of months. you know.
Yeah, I think he's over a 500,000.
Yeah, I think he's going close to 600 now. So
Wow.
I believe he'll reach a million. Yeah, once he reaches a million, this guy is super famous. Probably potentially be in a movie, I believe.
Oh, good for him, good for him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you were like, "Hey," but so you just hit him up, you're like, "We wanna do this, like, photo shoot style thing?"
Well, I can come to that as well. I used to do modeling quite a bit. And then it got too much. I didn't really like it. I was doing it in Bali, and it wasn't for me it was fun at the time. I was like, oh, this is cool, but it wasn't something that I was like, oh, I want to do this for a career or something like that. But I came that modeling, something beautiful came out of it. I ended up on a dating show over in Spain.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, so that's how it kind of all happened. And then, but me and Rivo, like we're real good friends still. Anytime I message him, he's like, "Man, you should start another modeling page so we can start doing more." I was like, "Nah, man, I'm focusing on what I'm doing now. I don't want no distractions of all the other stuff in the way."
That's great. So what was it
Uh,
like on the, on not the modeling show, on the dating show? How'd you do on that? What was it?
Yeah, fuck, it was cool, man. I think one of the best experiences in my life, to be honest. It was held by MTV, and then it was on Paramount Plus. So it's an American host show. It's called Are You the One Global Edition.
Okay.
Yeah, it was season 9, and it was crazy, man. We had internationals from all over the world, people from America, UK, Australia, Ireland, and it was what an experience being with 22 people in a villa for a whole month.
Oh,
It was,
it was one of those type shows. It wasn't just like
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
meet and greet and go out
No,
to
no, no.
dinner?
It's like Love Island. You're in this
Oh,
place
shit.
together with these people. Yeah,
We
yeah.
gotta pull up a clip of can we find a clip of that?
Oh yeah, you can go on YouTube, bro. It's all over there.
Alright, Kira, when you're editing, find a clip of that. What
Yeah.
the we will find that clip. We'll find a clip. So how did you do? Did you meet anyone? Did you have fun? Was there voting people
Yeah,
off and
yeah.
shit like that?
Yeah, so what happens is like basically finding your match. You talk to these different girls, and then you go into this booth, and then it kind of scans you, does this whole thing, and it tells you if you're a match or not. And if you're not a match, you can go back out to the villa and obviously kind of have to find your match. Um, the girl that I'm with now, she was not my match on the show, but we've been together for like 2 years now, almost
Okay.
2 years. Yeah. So
Congrats.
I met her on the show, and we've been together since ever. So she's Dutch.
What so the girl you're currently dating, you met on the show?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we've been
And you're
together
still
for two
together?
years. Yeah.
So this was in what, 2021, 2022 you did this?
Yeah, 21. Yeah, 21, 21, 22 towards there.
Semi-recent, wow. Oh, we gotta pull this
Yeah,
up. We gotta pull this up. This is
yeah.
great. I didn't expect this.
Yeah. It's crazy because even now when I go play football with my friends, because I used to play semi-pro football and
Soccer. For
soccer,
the
yeah.
Americans, for the Americans.
And the other day, my coach he goes, "Oh, what's this?" And I was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh God, where'd you get this from?"
Oh, he pulled
Somehow it
up a
popped up. He pulled out, yeah. So everyone was like, "What? Were you on the show?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't really talk about it."
wow. Wow. How so that's cool. Did they give you any money? Just curious. Or was it all just
Yeah, so we
volunteer?
ended up winning 750,000 towards the end. It gets split up between everyone was there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Did they tax the shit
Yeah.
out of you?
No, so it was like already, I think it was tax or not, but it worked out in my favor because exchange rate US dollars to New Zealand.
Oh, you got even more.
Yeah, because dollars are obviously a lot stronger than the
Yeah, yeah.
American dollar.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
yeah.
much how long that's gonna last though, buddy.
Yeah, I
It's,
don't know with what's everything happening in this world, this digital currency and everywhere where it's going. Yeah, I don't know.
it's
I
bad.
mean,
It's bad.
it's so bad.
I'm I have a concern, and for people listening, when I talk about cryptocurrency versus digital currency, it's two different things, right? Because cryptocurrency is one thing. Like what I don't think in the future we're ever going to pay with Bitcoin. We're not going to I'm not going to buy things with Bitcoin because what Michael Saylor said, I'm sure you know who Michael Saylor is.
Yeah, yeah,
Michael
Michael
Saylor
Saylor, yeah.
says he says it's like owning real estate in Times Square in the 1920s. It's just going to keep going up and up and up in value. But
Correct.
with digital currency, what they might do, which we hope they don't, we got to keep cash
Yeah.
around, is then they can we're only going to buy everything digital. So that means if the government doesn't like what you said or something you did or whatever the case
Cancel
might
you out.
be, they'll cancel you out. They'll lock you the fuck.
Yeah.
We cannot have that. We can't have that.
Nah. I think some countries, to be honest, are way, way behind towards that, you know? I've traveled quite a lot, so some countries are like way behind. You're like, man, no way that digital currency is going to catch up to these guys anytime soon. I think
I
it's
hope
just probably
so.
like, yeah, like future places. It potentially they will be, but yes,
We got to hold off. We got to hold off.
I just hold Solana and Bitcoin.
Oh, nice. I got Solana too. I got
Yeah,
Solana,
yeah,
Ethereum, Bitcoin are my main, and then I got a
yeah,
bunch of altcoins.
yeah.
I got Shiba. I got Shiba. I'm hoping
T-Bone.
it's going to be the next. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. What was the one Elon Musk talked about that blew up?
Doge, no, wasn't it
Yeah,
Dogecoin?
Dogecoin,
Dogecoin, yeah,
Dogcoin,
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
Dogecoin. No, Dogecoin, yeah, that kind of every time he tweets something, man, that thing just pumps.
I
So you got to
still
keep up with
regret
it.
I still regret not buying the Dogecoin because I saw the day that he said something like he was just fucking around on Twitter. He was like, "Haha, we're gonna use Dogecoin." I was like, "Man, I should buy it." And then I'm talking to my friends and people and a mentor, and he's like, it's not a real crypto. It's just some bullshit altcoin." They call them
Yeah,
shitcoins, and
shitcoins, yeah,
I'm like, I know, but Elon talked about it, which means it's going to go up. He's like, no, it's not. So I didn't because you couldn't easily buy it on Coinbase. You have to do, you
yeah.
got to get on all these other apps. And a month later, the shit hit like 73 cents. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my
I'm
God.
on Brett at the moment, and Brett is it's going crazy at the moment. And I think once that goes on Coinbase and Binance, this thing will probably skyrocket as well.
Let me write that down. It's called, is
It's
it
like
BRIT?
zero BRETT. And
Brett.
the thing
Okay.
is, you have to buy it on Ethereum base, so it's like the same as Dogecoin. You couldn't just buy it off like
Off
Coinbase
Coinbase.
or
Yeah.
Binance. Yeah. So, but I believe potentially if it goes on Binance and Coinbase, this thing could skyrocket. I think it's only at 0.0014 at the moment, or 0.014. So it's real. And I know
Got
a lot of people
potential.
are on it in Dubai. Yeah, I know some big fellas are got a lot of money in it.
And it's just Brett coin. But I mean, is how I would,
Brett,
Brett.
BRETT.
Huh.
Look
I'm
it up,
definitely
man.
gonna check it out. I'm definitely gonna check it out. Yeah, I got
I'm
that.
telling you, yeah.
I got the Shiba. I got the dog with hat. I bought that
Dog.
dumbass coin. Sometimes
No,
I'm just like, you know what? I'll just put $100 in one of these stupid coins
yeah,
because it
because
may
you
go up.
just never know. High risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of
okay.
people got rich from shit coins anyway. So
Exactly.
we could be
And you
one. We
know
could
what?
be one of those.
Please. uh, I think about it all the time. I mean, I think about crypto. I'm sure you think about crypto every day too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think about how I'm always thinking in my head, like, what if one of these altcoins, one of these shit coins blows up and I make, or everyone invested makes a lot of money. And part of me is like, that means everybody will get rich. But the more you talk to people, most people are not invested in stocks, let alone cryptocurrency. You would think there'd be more, but there's really not.
That I think it all comes down to actually education, and that's what it is. Like if you actually think back in the days, people were like trading, services for services, and things changed, and as life evolved, and I think there was a quote: "If you're not involved, you get left behind."
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people happen. It's because they don't want to change, and I think that's why it's called the 1% in this world, because they think different. When you think different and you have this belief in your mind, like, hey, I'm gonna be, yeah, it might not happen, but as long as you believe and tell your brain that is this gonna happen, hey, it will happen. It's all about your subconscious and how you train it. And I think that's a lot of people lack into that because they get distracted with social media, life, all these other things that they like, oh, I don't really care about my investment or I don't really care about my future. That's why I like to listen to Dave Ramsey. I don't know if you
I
follow
know
him.
Dave, of course.
Like I love watching that guy, man. Every time he makes it so simple, but a lot of people don't really follow what he says. So
Oh,
it's like, oh,
I completely agree with you. I mean, I love Dave Ramsey. I love, David Goggins. I love Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas, Grant Cardone, all
Green
these
Cardone, yeah.
people, Ed Milet. I look up to all these guys. You can learn a lot. Zig Ziglar.
I
A
have his book.
Yeah, yeah. Think
Yeah,
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you've never read that book, it's one of the best
read
books you
that like 3 times now, man.
So have I. And when I
It
say read, I
changes.
listen to it. I listen to it.
Yeah,
I
it
can't finish.
changes every time. But to be honest, the best guy that I like and I listen to every time, I could never get sick of him, is Jim Rohn.
Oh, that's Tony's, mentor. Tony Robbins'
So
mentor was Jim Rohn, yeah.
yeah, I think everybody that coming out now and speaking, if you actually listen to Jim Rohn, they're all kind of taking his stuff and then trying to add that little
Exactly,
bit of flavor
exactly.
into it. Yeah,
Jim Rome was the Tony Robbins back in the day, and then
correct.
Tony blew up, and now my friend, one of my good friends, shout out to Fred Melchior. He works for Tony Robbins. He's been the number one salesman for I guess since 2012, and so I've got to
Crazy.
learn so much about that and see a lot of the inside stuff, which is really cool. I even went to a 10 years ago, 2014, and went to San Antonio, Texas, to Unleash the Power
Nice.
Within, which was amazing. I highly
Yeah,
recommend it.
yeah. Tony Robinson, it's crazy, man. Like I think he just teaches people the belief and changing their mindset, and that's what I think a lot of those aspirational guys, public speakers and stuff, is just they trying to reprogram people's minds by making them think like you need to believe it what you actually do or stuff like that. But a lot of people, they just don't really want to. And if you don't want to, it's you, no one else. I can give you the formula, but if you don't want to put it into action, it's up to you. Like I cannot hold your hand, you know. And
Yeah,
I was actually listening to Jim Rohn today in the gym, and he was saying he's like, we could have this conference here, and everybody in this conference could leave, and one says, you know what, I'm going to change my life today, and then the other person could say, oh, I've listened to these stuff before. So it's all up to you.
it's about taking massive action, right?
Correct, man.
If you don't take action, yeah, you can listen to it. You're like, yeah, this is great. This is good shit. But if you go home and you do the same things you were doing before and kept the same habits, your life's not going to change. Everybody thinks because you're listening to a motivational speaker or some person with a lot of experience and advice, they're not going to change it for you. You have to change.
You know,
You have to put in the work. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes.
that's the whole purpose of it. And I think change is hard, don't get me wrong. When you're trying to break those habits, it's not something. It's like telling a smoker stop quitting tomorrow. He's like going to be like, who the hell are you telling me what?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's up to them to like either ease slowly and get out of it and change their habits, or you don't. I mean, my biggest inspirational person was my sister. She introduced me to this awakening. Before I was man, party animal, doing all this dumb shit. Like I never I was like people that used to read books. I'm like, oh, what are these guys up to? But then here, later on, 4 years later, I'm doing the same thing.
Wow. Wow. So let's get into
Yeah.
where did you grow up?
So my original background's from Iraq.
Okay. You're from
Yeah, yeah, from
wow.
Iraq. Yeah.
And when did you move to New Zealand?
2005, no, 2003, I believe, because we were refugees in Indonesia
But
for
meaning
about
what?
3 years. So it
So
means we left Iraq as asylum seekers, smuggled through to other countries to get to. So our original plan was to go to Australia,
okay.
um, but that didn't happen because you have to go through Iraq, Jordan, Malaysia, and you end up in Indonesia. And then from Indonesia, you leave on the boats to Australia. which that never happened for us because we got caught and arrested and stayed in jail for 6 months
Your whole family?
before we whole family, yeah. So me, my mom, my brothers and sisters, and I had a younger brother who passed away there in jail. So
I'm sorry, man.
that was like, yeah, no, it's all good, man. It was crazy for what like we went through the whole process, and then the United Nation came. So then they're like, oh, because the United Nation comes and accept certain families to certain countries. That's how that kind of works. And then we got accepted to America actually. But then 9/11 happened, so they canceled the visa
Oh my
from
god.
Iraq. So it's like, yeah, and eventually, New Zealand, they said New Zealand accepted you guys. We're like, where the hell is that? And we didn't realize it was close to Australia. So yeah, that's how we kind of ended up here.
Did you guys flee Iraq, um, before the you know, before the
Yeah,
invasion,
yeah,
the
before
United
the
States
war, before,
invasion?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So 1998, we left.
And what was the reason? What was the logic? I mean, were you guys in a bad situation? Was it something
Oh, it
hap
was just the war. Remember the war, like when the whole America war in Iraq started?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, my mom was just like, no, there will be no future for us in Iraq. And my dad was like, oh, but things gonna. She's like, no, I'm taking the kids and I'm leaving. Either you coming or I'm going. So yeah, within like not even a week or so, we ended up selling our house for like peanuts. Like now, if you think about how much it's worth, but yeah, because we were living in a real nice area,
Like Tehran?
and no, like so we stayed in Basra. So one of the streets in Basra is one of the most expensive streets now because house prices, everything skyrocketed.
Uh-huh.
And then yeah, my dad ended up selling it for like nothing, just so we can get out. And then we ended up leaving. But our family cousins and all that, they're still there. But they said they should have left with us. But hey, that's life. I guess sometimes you either take action or you stay where you are.
So your mom saw the writing on the wall and she was like, we
Yeah,
gotta get
man.
out of
She
here.
she just said we leaving. Don't know where, but we're leaving. That's what
Wow.
that's what it was. Yeah.
So what was it like getting smuggled? Like what so walk me through. How did it happen?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I was 10 years old. I still remember everything. Sometimes you get flashbacks when when things. So we ended up leaving Iraq, going to Jordan. One of our dad friends said, "Hey, come to Jordan, see if you guys like it." And then, so we ended up going to Jordan, staying there for about a month. And then my dad met somebody else. He goes, "Oh, there are ways to get to Australia." For us, it was like, "Oh, Europe." That's what we think it was, Australia. Um, so we ended up obviously paying this guy to take us to Australia. So they had to take us to Malaysia first. And then when we got to Malaysia, that person that said, "Oh, they're gonna take us to Australia," took our money, robbed our money. So we were like, the thing is, when you're in these places, you cannot speak the language, you cannot speak English, you can like you're like basically deaf, silent. So you kind of like have to find your ways. But somehow we met some family there who were in the same situation as us. So we ended up staying with them. And eventually we met some other dude who took us to Indonesia. And when we got to Indonesia, there was a lot of refugees like us, that wants to leave, that left, from Syria, from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, all different nationalities. They were all at one place. And some people took the risk, going onto these boats to Australia, and a lot of them sank. Actually, there was a lot of people dying. So many, like it's crazy because to get to Australia, you have to go through 3 days in the ocean. You're in the middle of the ocean for 3 days in these dinghies boats, like
Yeah, I imagine you're
anything
not
can
on a
smash
luxury
them.
cruise line.
No, you're not. No, and then they like put people in there for about 200 people in there.
They pack it
So it's
full,
like
right? So there's
they
not
pack it up, and they don't tell you what it looks like because they make you go out at nighttime, and when you get there, you're like, okay, shit, cannot turn back now. So they end up taking their risk. And we were gonna go on these boats a couple of times, but my brother, man, he was just crying like crazy. So my mom was like, "No, this is a bad idea." So on the second time, that's when we got caught by the Navy, the Indonesian Navy,
Mhm.
And yeah, they put us in jail, man, 6 months. And from then they let us out because the United Nation came and whatnot, helping us out. So, but we ended up staying in Indonesia for about 3 years before
So
we went to New Zealand.
when you say that your family was put in jail in Indonesia, was it did they have like a big I imagine they called a lot of people, right? Not just you. And so
Yeah, 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 yeah. A lot of
it
people.
wasn't like a traditional like you're going to like prison because you murdered someone, right? Was it a big, I guess,
It was
camp?
like a big camp. Yeah, it was a big camp. And obviously gates and everything. Like you could not just leave. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
get out. You're stuck there. But yeah, there was a lot of families, man. A lot of families there.
And where did you sleep? Did they
Uh,
have, roofs? Like, did you have
bunks,
shelter?
beds, man. It was like
Okay.
this big hole. People sleeping next to each other.
Did they feed you? Like, how did you guys get food and everything?
So they were feeding us their food, but we couldn't eat it because we're not used to that type of food. It's completely like 360. You're going from like say, eating tabboulehs in there to like KFC, and you're like, what the hell is this? you know. So that's how it was. But eventually, they let us start cook and make our own food. So they're like, you know what? We'll give you guys the ingredients. You cook your own food. Made it easier for them,
Yeah.
and that's how it kind of started. Because no one wanted to eat that food. It was nah, but I don't even know what it was. But eventually, we did. Like I didn't really mind it.
And
When you're
what
young, you gotta eat.
Yeah, you gotta eat, you gotta eat. And so
yeah,
you're about what, 9, 10? How old are you during this time?
yeah, about 10.
Okay, so you're 10 years old. I mean, are they also is in this prison camp, were there schools or how did you
No,
occupy
no,
your
no.
time?
Three years, man. 3 years, no school.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so like it was basically my mom was educating us. That's it, because her background was an accountant,
Oh,
so
okay.
she was just educating us as we go. I think I became so good at maths, not anymore. So it was like, yeah, that's the only thing I could study was maths.
Hey, that's good, that's a good skill to
Uh,
have.
yeah, yeah.
And so do you
Uh,
speak Farsi?
no, I speak Arabic.
Arabic, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And English, and do you speak anything else?
I used to speak Indonesian, but obviously, like you leave and you forget their language.
Yeah.
But yeah, only Arabic and English.
Wow. And when
Yeah.
did you start learning English?
When I came to New Zealand, man, it was a struggle,
Okay, okay.
especially
We'll
going
get
to
there.
school. Yeah, it was very tough. I think it was one of the toughest times we've had. Coming to a new place, can't speak the language. You're at school, just sitting there. I hated school, by the way. Like I never, even since I was young, I never liked school.
Yeah, most kids don't, right? And then especially if you're like, "I don't even speak the language," because I mean, I've talked to, numerous people from Mexico and other countries
Yeah,
around
yeah,
here, and, they have a similar we have a what's called an ESL program, English as a second language, but still, I mean, you're isolated from everybody else, they're trying to teach you.
yeah.
Yeah, learning another language looks rough, and then on top of it, they're grading you, it looks tough,
Exactly.
and you don't know anybody.
There, yeah, man. It was making friends. It was real, real tough. Like so tough when we coming in.
So, let me ask you this, so your brother who passed away, what had happened there? If you wanna talk about
So
if
he
you don't
was
want to,
two,
that's
two,
fine.
two, 2 weeks old. So my mom was pregnant in jail. Like
Okay,
when we got there, she was already pregnant. Yeah. So he passed away when he was 2 weeks old.
okay.
I think he had water in the lungs or something like that, and they didn't know how to fix that. Which hospitals are there a bit backwards.
Yeah,
And yeah, so my mom and dad went through this real, real rough patch. Where I think my mom couldn't speak for 1 month. So
yeah,
we thought something actually happened to her. And as young kids, to see that, you're like, oh, what the hell is happening? But
yeah.
like for us to experience all this as we grew up younger, so it's tough. And that's why I see it now, being in New Zealand and you get with all these opportunities and everything. It was like, man, this is easy, it's like walking a park.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
that's why a lot of people don't understand, like when I'm putting so much hard work into like when I did my businesses, now I'm putting the same effort into the SMP in there. It's just they don't really understand your background, so they can't really tell why you're doing this for or pushing so hard to be where you want to be.
Yeah,
And
because
people just see
you've
like the
been through a
finished
lot of shit.
product. Yeah.
So how did you eventually so it's you, your dad, your mom, your sister, is there any other relatives?
And my brother, yeah.
And okay.
So
And
me, my
so
brother, and my sister.
okay. Now this the brother who passed away or
No, no, no,
another
no.
brother?
So it was another brother.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And is he older or
And I've
younger?
got a younger sister who was born here in New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah.
In during the process so, okay, that happens, obviously, that's fucking terrible, especially I see it from the parents' point of view now.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
how do you eventually so you get citizenship or semi I don't know what they call it, temporary citizenship in Indonesia, how do you eventually leave Indonesia to the next move?
That's all the United Nation does that for you. So
Okay.
United Nation comes, take you out, and then they take you to these different countries. It's the same what's happening with Syria at the moment, like a United Nation goes and help them out from these camps that they live in. And some of these people living in these camps for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, on the waiting list.
It's
So like country
terrible.
says, you know what, we can take some refugees in, and then they kind of go through the waiting list. Who's been here the oldest? They take those out and transfer them to another country.
And so okay,
That's how the process works. Yeah.
when the United Nations, does this, do they fly you? Do they give you any money? What do they do? They just put you and they just say, "Hey, here you go."
They just fly you, man, and they take you to another country, and then you potentially hope that the country that they send you to help you out. And we are very grateful that New Zealand did help us out because they did give us housing when we first got here, and a little bit of income to just get us around before we start getting our feet and work and whatnot. And my dad was owning companies in Kuwait, like oil when he was working there, coming to New Zealand, working in a restaurant, as a cleaner and stuff. It's a shock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To like to
Yeah.
go from there. So yeah, but hey, he had to do what he had to do for us to get by.
So your dad was like a businessman? He worked in the oil industry while you guys were in Iraq?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Worked in Kuwait.
Wow. Kuwait
Yeah, so he owned a couple of multiple businesses there in the oil industry.
and then he
So we
came
were
to New Z
living a good life. Like we were living a good life in Iraq. Obviously with the wars and everything that was going on, you still live a good life.
yeah.
I think, and the one thing about people that don't realize about the Middle East, especially Iraq, or then you got Iraq, Iran, Syria, those instant when you're born into a war. So
Yeah.
you're not born into like, oh, there's, so for us to be born there with a war, like it was just normal. Like probably like a shopping center down the road blew up, and we're like, oh, they just blew up. Like it's not
Yeah.
like, oh shit, what the hell is going on? So it's like the norm. Sometimes you sleep at night and you hear like gunfires and shit going off like from far, far away, and it's like, oh, cool. It's like no one really, because you can't control it and you can't do anything about it.
I think the biggest, and I've heard this, and, that it's crazy that you had to go through that and people live like that, but a big misconception with Americans, they think, "Hey, Iraq, Afghanistan, it's all like wars, it's just war and people all everybody there wants to kill the Americans, right?" But really, it's just there's groups, I guess you call them gangs, whatever you wanna call the
Yeah, yeah,
terrorist
yeah.
groups, and then the rest are just regular people who just wanna go to
That's
work,
what it is.
go
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
vacation, eat food, watch TV, hang out, they're just normal people. And then you got
That's
all
it.
the craziness going around them for the war.
But
Uh,
the media shows you, they don't really show you the place for what it is. They show you the wars and stuff happens usually on the edges, and that's where everything happens. Um, but I think our countries are cursed because we got so much oil, and we wish we never did.
you
That's
don't think
it.
it was good?
When
You
you
don't
have,
think it was good?
I don't know. I don't think it's good for us, man. Like I wish that place had never had oil because we would probably wouldn't have to leave.
But do you think it would have developed do you think it would have developed the way it is without all that money?
Man, it's not developed at where it is at the moment either. With
Uh,
all this, it's a clang there. It's clangs. If you have a big family, you can survive. If you don't, you're not surviving there, man. I can tell you that for sure. Because
mm.
everyone robs everyone there. If you have a big family, big clan, you in the oil industry, you got real estate, and it's just it's a very complex place. It's like a war jungle. The lion and the rest, just feed off at the bottom. That's how it
Wow.
is. Yeah, it's a
It
place
looks
that
rough.
tough. It's tough, man.
Yeah. No, I think about that sort of thing all the time. I'm like, we are so fucking even though I was born in America, so I feel very lucky, and although
Yeah.
I was born into kind of a shitty situation, but at least I was born into a shitty situation in the United States. You know what I mean? Versus
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
shitty situation in a really poor country. Because it would be way worse. It'd be way
In
worse.
America, you still have opportunities. Do you know what I mean? You can like,
And
cool. I can try leave from this place to go to that place because it's got something.
yeah, and it blows my mind the amount of people in the US who waste their fucking opportunity, and that's what I still, at 36 years old, I can't get over it. I have so many, acquaintances, friends, family, and I just like, we have an opportunity to make our dream a reality, and you fucking aren't doing you're wasting your life. In my opinion, they're
Yeah,
wasting their life,
yeah, yeah,
and, you can't force somebody to wanna get better, but someone like you who's come from a war zone, you've been in these prison camps and seen terrible things and had to deal with a lot of loss, a lot of ambiguity, all this uncertainty. You appreciate the opportunities, and it seems like you've taken advantage of it. So once now that you're in New Zealand, you start school, you start learning English. What was that like?
yeah. Once I started learning English, that was the most thing that I actually had to learn first. And my dad, one thing told us is like, don't hang out with your own kind. And now I look back at it and I'm like, what he said was right because I have some friends, like Iraqi friends, that we came together. When you speak English to them now, they feel like they just came yesterday because they never really wanted to expand into the culture. You know what I mean? They always stuck together. And the one thing my dad said, he's like, first thing you get here, you go find just whatever friends because you need to learn the language as the way they speak here, the native way. And I was like, okay, cool, But I think what helped me here was my soccer because when I was playing in Iraq, every single day you come out here and they only play 2 times a week. So yeah, I was running around these kids like no tomorrow. And they're like, oh, where's this guy come? I couldn't speak English, but I knew how to play. So like, that's the way I kind of made friends.
So they were like,
And
we want
when
him
I
on
met
our team.
that's basically was it. And then that's when I met my best friend till this day. Two of them, John and Hussein. We've been friends since we were kids. Like when I first came to New Zealand. And I remember when I got into a fight with this kid, and Hussein came and jumped in, and I was like, "Yeah, cool, we're best friends now."
Oh, that's
And
great.
we've been friends since ever, man. Like we don't see each other as much, but when we do, it feels like yesterday.
I love that. I love that. I have friends
Yeah,
from when I
yeah,
was 11 years old as well. It is
yeah, man.
it's great.
Those friends are hard to come by.
It is. It really is, and I really
Yeah,
appreciate, my friendships, those long term. It's hard to make friends as an adult. I mean, you can, but we have more
surface level.
responsibilities.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, okay, so you're making friends, and so what was school like? I mean, did they just put you in, like, I don't know, what's that, 5th, 6th grade? Do they
We've
go to
got
12 grades there?
yeah, we've got ESOL there. ESOL, I don't know what it's in America. So ESOL, it's like where they put you in this class with other refugees in
Okay,
there to teach you basic English, like
okay.
the alphabet order and all these stuff, like no 1, 2, 3, like all these real basic stuff that you need to. I personally never really liked school. Like I always hated. Like used to sometimes my mom would drop me off to school, and I would just walk out. Literally go to the park and just play soccer, and then the
Just skip
teachers got
school all
sick of
day.
it. They're like, "Just skip, just go play soccer." Like that's all I wanted to do, just play. And that's how I think I made friends throughout my whole career. It was just from sports,
Wow.
and being into and then went into playing high league in New Zealand until I got injured. Obviously, that was my goal to become a professional soccer player, but didn't go through. But yeah, school was something that I just didn't really look at it. I always looked at it this way. I was like, I think I clicked when I was a bit younger, and I was like, if the teacher teaching us, how come he's not rich? That's why I looked at it, and that stuck in my head since I was young. And I was like, if they're teaching us all this, why they're not rich? But then my
because
friends went and did degrees and all this. And to be honest, a lot of them now don't even use their degrees, and they're stuck with this loan that they have to pay.
so when you graduated, based on what you just said, you chose after high school, you chose not to go to college. What did you end up doing?
I just started doing random jobs, strawberry picking, sending frames, working like a supermarket. I just wanted to make money, and that's how I kind of looked at it. For me, it was just making money, because I didn't really understand all this, education, and it was just not my thing. Like I didn't really like it. Didn't want to study. None of that. My sisters and brother, yeah, they did study and then they got very good education. But I took the route of working to build myself. I actually went to uni for 1 week and I walked out. I was like, nah, it's not for me.
And
So
so
everything is now where I am is all self-educated.
wow, and you're a smart guy.
Yeah.
I mean, just by talking to you, you're a smart guy. So, I mean,
Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. When, I think people like you and you have to be interested in it to really put your focus in. And if you're not interested, you're
Sure.
like, "I don't fucking care. I don't care."
Exactly. It just doesn't really you're not gonna get the best out of it if you don't really like it. No.
Yeah.
It's just like trying to force somebody to eat something, but they don't really want to eat it. Like, yo, I don't want to eat this.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So when did you get into barbering? So how did you eventually get into the barber industry?
So when I did all these jobs, got into sales and all stuff, I have some cousins here who are barbers. They've been doing it for so long. So I've always been around it, but I never really did it. You know what I mean? So I've like always used to do my own beard and this, but I really never. I always wanted something different. Like I always searched for something that is gonna fulfill me. And then one day my cousin was like, "Hey man, why don't you just give this a go? Just like try it out, see if you like it." And yeah, I ended up. So when I was doing sales at the time, I bought this like cheap clippers and I was like, oh, let me just like practice on my friends or whatever. And yeah, when I touched it, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. And since that day, it just kind of like, I think barbering changed my whole life,
Wow.
like changed my perspective on so many things. Because people before they used to look down on, oh, if you're a barber and this, but then now barber is like a doctor,
Yeah.
like they earn crazy money too. Like, if I
Oh,
go back into it, I
expensive.
still earn a lot of money. Um, but you meet interesting people. You get to talk to so many people who are all in different industries, doing so many. So you get all this knowledge in one chair. So it's like, why would I go to a university when I'm getting knowledge for free?
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
then
you
yeah, since that day, I touched barbering and I fell in love with it, man. And now 13 years later, I never looked at waking up in the morning. Oh no, just like it's like normal going hanging out with friends.
wow. And did you
Yeah.
study under your cousins, or how did that all work?
Yeah, so I was self-taught. I was watching and as an apprentice, sweeping floors at the start. I think for the first couple of months, we were just sweeping floors, watching them, and then now and then they'll give me one person to kind of do here and there. And I think that's how it kind of all starts before you get the rhythm of it, and you understand it. But I was grateful too because I was working in a shop. It was like six good barbers.
Mhm.
You pick so much of these guys who are super skilled, and I picked it up in no time.
I also taught myself barbering, over years, but I never got to work in a shop like you. I just
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah, yeah.
friends hair, since I was, like, 14, still cut hair, doing SMP and I cut my father-in-law's hair and some other
Yeah,
people
yeah, nice.
and, I've always liked it as well. I just like doing it, you know what I mean? I
It's cool, man.
physically like doing it. I like making
It's a
people happy
therapy.
'cause you give a good haircut,
Yeah,
people are happy, they feel good.
exactly. It's the experience, and you create a lot of friendship with it too. I mean, even when I got into it, I had a goal in mind. I was like, I don't want to just be barbering working for somebody. I was like, in 2 years, I want to own my own business. And then 2 years down the track, I did end up opening up my own business.
Fuck yeah,
Worked for
awesome.
it, build it up, and then I was like, okay, what's the next big goal? and I ended up becoming an ambassador for Wall as well, which is one of the biggest brands in the
Yeah,
world.
I know what you got an you got an ambassador. Wow,
Yeah.
that's hard. People who don't know that, that is hard. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
He
so
must have
it
liked
took
you.
me a while, but um, and I was actually the first one in New Zealand to get it too,
Wow.
which was
Wow.
crazy. And the guy that I worked with at the barbershop, he stayed continuing doing barbering till now, and then he just became an ambassador for Wall recently.
Wow. And
Yeah,
so
so
when you I guess you opened your first barbershop first, right? So how did that
yeah.
work? You were like, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm just gonna open up this barbershop." And did it
Yeah,
start a
so
beast?
things didn't really go as planned, you know. The thing is when I do things, I tell the person straight away from the start. So when it gets the time for me to leave or anything, they're not surprised, you know what I mean? Like I'm not shocking them.
Yeah, you're
So
trying to
when
be
I
an
said two
honest guy.
years, yeah, yeah. So when in 2 years, they thought I'm gonna just stay there forever. And I was like, no, like my time is up now. I need to go. And then obviously got very salty about it. Till this day, we actually don't speak, by the way.
It's a shame.
Yeah, so when I got into it, I didn't understand business. Like now you're going into a business, you're not a worker anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're different now. Like yeah, you had the skill, but you don't have the business skill of what's actually happening. So I went deep balls in the business. I don't really know what I was doing. Didn't know what the hell is an accountant. Like obviously my mom is an accountant, but in Iraq is different than in New Zealand laws. That's a lot different. I didn't know what taxes was. I was like, what the hell is that? Like, you know, everything's done for you when you work for people.
Yeah.
A lawyer, and then you have to do contracts. But I came across a guy who I was cutting his hair, you know, and then he's like, hey, man, you need to be doing this, this, this. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't know any of this shit. He's like, yeah, well, you need to register the business before getting this. And I actually did all these mistakes as I was going, building their first business. And then, you know, went through it, understood. And then once he started getting the rhythm of what's actually going on, I ended up opening up my second one. That was a lot smoother than the first one. But yeah, like fast forward now, like understanding all these taxes, accountings, lawyers, bank accounts, all these things, and I had to obviously teach myself, you know, by reading all these books, the difference, all the differences that you go through. And I said that's all self-taught, so you don't really have to go to university for that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you research things that actually matter, not the bullshit classes.
Exactly, exactly.
And I'm sure
And that's
I
because that's day-to-day life, you know, you're actually doing it in real life. You're not doing it by going by a book that's been studied by hundreds of students.
yeah, yeah, you're actually in the field doing the real work, not just theory.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm sure if you had, accounting questions, you could just ask your mom, right? She'd help you with that.
Yeah, so she was good with the numbers. So every
Great.
time I needed something, it's like, can you, what does this mean?
Hey, it's great to know people who know shit.
Oh, bro, I'm telling you, the barbering, trust me, you get to meet so many people.
Yeah, you really and
Yeah.
even in SMP, right? I mean, I just met so many people, who I
It's
could
the same,
definitely
you know?
yeah, yeah, you can ask for favors if needed. I
For
save
sure.
them. 'Em. I'm saving them. You know what I mean? In case I
Yeah, it's
actually
like
need it.
you save them, yeah.
I don't, because you don't wanna be the guy who's a pain in the ass asking for
No, no,
handouts
no,
and
no, no,
favor,
no.
but if called
For sure.
upon, I know who to reach out to.
Well, I came through Bitcoin through my barbershop.
Really?
That's how
Okay,
yeah, that's how I knew about Bitcoin.
okay.
Like I had guys who are like working cyber securities, and they were my clients for so long. And then they're like, "Oh, do you know about Bitcoin?" I was like, "Nah, man." So every time they come for a haircut, they'll teach me something about it,
Oh,
or teach
wow.
me something new.
What
And
year did you
before I
get
knew, I
in?
was already
What year did
invested.
you get into, Bitcoin?
Went four or 5 years now. 4 years,
Okay,
5 years.
nice,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. So quite some time. Yeah.
good.
So I've been hodling since.
Good. That's a little play for people who don't know, hodling, it looks like hold, but it's, HODL, not HOLD, and it's just
Yeah.
there's a coin called HODL, hodl. It's just a dumb crypto joke, but I get it. Um, so when did you eventually say, "Hey, I've been barbering, 13 years, I wanna get into SMP?" Well, I imagine you got into it sooner.
Yeah, so I've always looked. after barbering, like I came to the phase where I like, okay, I really need to do something different. You know, like I've been doing this for so long, I need to just like find. So my business was running, I was still putting my foot in some places. You know, like real estate, um, other different industries that I see if, oh, okay, if this is gonna fulfill me, if it's something for me. I did real estate for a couple of months. I didn't really like it, to be honest. I understood so much about it, but it's a very cunning job, and that's something I don't really want to go into. You get to see the real industry when you're inside, not the outside. People think it's the cars and this and all that. It's more than that. And traveled around actually for like going to Asia, went to Europe, got onto that show. I thought that's something going to fulfill me, which it really it did. Something came out great out of it, but didn't really give me something that I want to be doing in the future. And then one time my mate came over and he was like, and I started looking at him. I was like, man, you look a bit like I've seen SMP before. Don't get me wrong. I've seen it because everything that comes straight comes from America. So you
Mm.
kind of see what's happening in America and then gets distributed to other countries. And when I first saw it, like the full straight hard line dark, and I was like, man, this looks funny. Like, this is not something like people actually getting this.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, one time my mate came and then didn't say anything, obviously. And I looked at him and I was like, dude, you look a bit different. I couldn't pick it up straight away. And then he's like, oh, you don't notice? And I was like, nah, not really. Like I was like, and I was like, what the like have you done something to your hair? Because he's bald. Like that's why I'm like, he's like, yeah, man, I've this thing keep popping up on my page, this SMP stuff. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, then he showed me a photo and I was like, oh, I've seen this before. But the way his one was done was actually done nicely. So it looked natural, you know? And I
Uh-huh.
was like, oh. And then that's how I kind of got into it. I start searching. I was like, fuck, who's doing it in New Zealand? And by the way, I only been doing it for 6, 7 months now. So a lot of
Wow.
people think I've been doing it for quite some time. I was like, no.
Good for you. Good for
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And I came a lady who actually, Abby, her name. I looked her up and I thought it was a studio, and I ended up going to this house. And I was like, okay, I'm maybe in the wrong spot. And then there was a sign says Abby SMP and ain't SMP. And I went knocked on the door. She thought I was a client coming for a consultation.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, hey, I'm coming here because my friend where he did it, the guy is not here. He's from Australia.
Okay.
So I wasn't gonna go to Australia to learn it, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, surely there's somebody here, and I ended up knocking on her door, and then I was like, hey, and she was like, hey, how can I help you? And I was like, oh, I'm coming to learn SMP. She's like, well, I've never taught anybody before, and I don't usually do this. And I was like, well, whatever it takes, I want to learn this. I don't really care. I could just come here every day and knock on your door till you actually say I'm gonna teach you. But yeah, man, she really opened up the gate for me. And, you know, I told her my dreams and what I really want to do. And then when I first touched the machine gun and what I was doing, it gave me the same feeling that I had when I started barbering.
Wow. What
And that's
who
how I kind of found SMP.
what's her what
Abby from Headline Inc.
headline okay, headline okay, Abby.
Yeah.
Okay.
So her background is makeup artist,
Okay.
and then she got into SMP through and I think she learned it over in the state. I can't remember who she went through, but yeah, she learned that over there, and I believe it was her and some other guy was the only one doing it in New Zealand. There was nobody else doing it,
Okay.
and now there are a few people who are doing it. But yeah, I just went and knocked on her door,
Just showed
and I
up.
just said, "Hey," I just literally showed up, knocked on the door, and I was like, "Hey, I want to learn this."
How far
Then
is
she
she from
goes to
you?
me. Oh, she's not far, man. She's about 20 minutes from where I stay.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you weren't
Yeah.
traveling
So
like
we're not.
okay.
No. Because I had to search. I was like, okay, I live in Auckland. So Auckland is like the main base of New Zealand. That's where everything's happening.
Okay.
Um, each over here it's easy because if I want to go to the North Shore, it's 30 minutes, West 20 minutes. So everything is not super far. So it's kind of good, very convenient. And yeah, I just walked in and she was like, "Well, I never taught anybody SMP." She's like, "I don't know how I'm going to teach you the skill." And I was like, "Whatever it takes. I don't really care how you're going to structure this for me. I want to do it." She was like, "Give me 2 weeks." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "From 2 weeks till I see you again, how can I just do something?" So I ended up coming home, getting a pen. I had this little bottle thing. I pierced it into it. It looked like a machine gun. And I just started doing like, dots, sending it to her every day. She was like, "Oh, you need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. Spread this out. Bring this closer." And I was like, "Okay." So I was just doing that every single day before I kind of meet her.
Wow. Wow. So
Yeah. So
you're
that's how
very
like,
dedicated. You were very I hope you paid her, I'm assuming too, right?
of course, yeah, yeah, man.
Okay,
Of course, I
okay.
paid her. Like I see her. I mean, I've got a folder this much, probably this big, of how much work I've done, which I haven't really showed anybody yet. That's how many, probably. It's crazy how much training I've done before even touching somebody's skin.
I think that's probably the best way to do it. And looking at your work, you would never know. You said you only been doing this like 6 months. Your work looks good,
6 months,
man.
yeah.
Your work
Six
looks
months, man.
good.
Yeah. So I'm just
The
starting
the
up,
practice definitely it shows. It shows. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I've had guys, couple of people from Team Micro as well reached out. They're like, "Oh, we've seen that you've been doing this. How long you been doing it for?" I was like, "Oh, 6 months." And like, "Well, I thought you were doing a couple of years." I was like, "Nah, man." I've
That's
got
good.
guys from Italy as well reaching out, which I'm very grateful for, helping them out as well. I mean, I was grateful to meet Joe. It
Yeah.
just happened, and to pick that knowledge from him in that 2 weeks, man, like my whole shift and technique, everything just shifted straight away.
Man, you getting trained by one of the best. One of the best.
Bro, I'm telling you, and it's crazy because with SMP, it's very what do you call it? It's very closed. So as an artist, for example, yourself, you and by yourself in your own zone. So you don't get other artists coming and watching you the whole time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people don't really see the work. So when I saw Joe's work in real life, and I was like, "Damn, man, this guy's like literally." You're not hiding anything. You know what I mean? You're not doing this Photoshop and or anything like that. This
Yusuf
guy's like a real.
Yeah, Yusuf is
Yeah,
one of the best in the US, one of the best in the world for sure. He's a fucking
bro, it
beast.
was like straight raw footage I was looking at, and I was like, "Jeepers!" Like, he had guys there coming from Turkey, all over the place. By the way,
Yeah.
when I was there, yeah, just traveling for him to do it, and I was like, so you can see the levels of how far you can take SMP. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great.
So there
That's
are levels to it. Yeah.
so many levels. There's and then you got the people who just watch YouTube videos and try it and then they jack somebody's head up.
That's a lot of it in Iraq, by the way. Bro, I've seen some procedures there, like videos. It's crazy. Like
They
it's
wanna
sad. It's actually so sad to see it.
It is, and people. Well, it's expensive, right? I mean, the cheaper you go, the cheaper work you're gonna get, right? In the
Well,
beginning,
there's a
I'm
say, man. There's a say. It's called. There's a difference between cost and price, and they ask what's the difference. A cost is an ongoing thing. A price you pay at one time.
yeah, yeah.
That's what a lot of people don't think. It's like, okay, you can get it cheap, but I think there'll be laser treatments, this, before you get to the
The
actual price.
cost is never ending, right? You just keep
That's it.
it's all jacked up. Now, it looks like
Mhm.
you have a lot of hair. Do you actually have any SMP or no?
No, but eventually I will be getting some. I don't really need it at the
No, I
moment,
don't
but
think you
I
do. It
feel
looks good.
my temples. But for now, I'm good. For now,
And
I'm
in
real
your
good.
earlier pics, your hair was longer, so you recently kind of cut it.
I shaved it. I thought it would be great for my business because that can give more
Smart
confidence
move.
to guys coming in through. I had
Yeah.
this long hair, and I'm like, they're coming in with no hair. I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I ended up buzzing the whole thing off.
Yeah, and so and you can get like I talked to Jesse Lima. He's a well-known artist down in Florida. I'm not sure if you how I'm not sure how much you've been looking at all the artists around the world, but
So
Jesse
to be
has.
honest, sorry to cut you off. To be honest, the only people I follow it's you. I follow Joe,
Mhm.
Sam from Oliver Mayer, Ronnie. Ronnie was actually the earliest guys that I spoke to as well when I got into SMP. I don't know if you know him
MHP.
from Holland.
Yeah, yeah. Ronnie's
Man,
a
this guy
beast.
is a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were speaking just last night actually. So these are the guys that I follow, and I just stick to that because if you follow too many, it just becomes you're like, oh, well, where am I gonna go? Which niche market? So you kind of
Yeah.
cut target nice people, keep those, and just stick with that.
I know exactly what you mean, and you're just trying to focus build your brand, right? You in the beginning, you just
Correct.
kinda wanna build your brand, and you'll see there's, characters in the SMP. I would probably define
I've seen
myself.
already.
Yeah. Yeah, there's different, personalities, right? People everybody does things a little different. There's no, like I guess in the I've talked about this, the barber community, there was I guess a national institute of barbers or something like that. We don't have that in SMP. And even tattooing, I think
No, that's what it's lacking. Yeah,
yeah, there's
and
no
I think it's something you can't really do unless you're going to do events or be in an event and kind of connect with these people.
are you
But in
coming to,
reality,
go ahead.
but I'm saying in reality, it's still an individual business that you're one on one with your client. That's it.
100%. Yes, you are so right. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, you can learn from the best. You can learn from the best, but unless you practice, guess what? When you're alone, one on one with a bald person, it's you,
exactly.
what you've practiced before they were there, that's going to make the
For
difference.
sure.
All that
For sure.
knowledge. And, when I first did it, I remember my hand shaking. I was so nervous. You know what I mean? Like, the needle and everything was shaking before
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, "Oh,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna fuck up," because I'd feel horrible, if you really and we in the beginning, you make mistakes, that's completely normal, but
Everybody does.
yeah, but the more you do it, the better you get, and at least you should get better if you're paying attention to what you're doing. Because there's probably, I'm sure, people who just keep fucking heads up. They just keep jacking
For
people
sure,
up and
man.
they don't even try. To me, I'm a student.
Yeah,
I'm a forever student. I've been doing it 6 years. I'm still a student, still
for
learning,
sure, man.
still learning.
Always be a student, and that's how I look at it. Always be a student.
Are you going to the meeting of minds? It's in Times Square. It's in New York,
No,
October.
I got invited to it actually, but I was like, I just got back from Dubai. I was like, man, it'll be an expensive trip to just come
It
back and
is,
go.
it is. So
Yeah,
my advice is I think we're gonna have a scalp show, so the more research you'll do there so in 2021, there was the first, I'd say, real, scalp expo, which was hosted by Picasso Jeff, if you know Picasso Jeff. So he's did
I've heard
that,
of Picasso. Yes.
and so he did and his is in, it was in Phoenix, Arizona, so I went to that September 2021. Then about 9 months later, there was another Scalp X. This is 2022, May 2022. He did
Yeah.
Scalp Expo too, but at the same time, like literally the second half of the week, there was the Scalp Show, which is Matt Iulo's brand, which is Scalp Micro USA, and he hosted that. And now, ever since that, because those were so close together, and there was like, you can't have shows that far apart because it is expensive and it takes you away, and you got to fly there, you got to pay for the hotel, you got to pay for it's a lot.
For sure, man.
And now there hasn't been one, so now Team Micro, Meeting of the Minds is coming. I'm probably going to go because I'm just taking a train. I'm actually doing all the marketing. They haven't announced it yet. They want me to do all the marketing. So it's only
Oh,
2 hours away
nice.
from me up in New York. But
Oh, easy.
the point I'm trying to get to is Matt Iulo, when I did the podcast with him and John Giroux, said he's probably going to have another scalp show. Hopefully it's in 2025, not 2026, but you got to go to that one. So when that
No,
scalp
no,
show
the
comes,
next one I am for sure. I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah,
that one. But
yeah.
this one was just like I was like,
Yeah, it's
this
too
is gonna be
crammed
too
in.
expensive for me. Yeah, too cramped.
And New
No, but the
York,
next one for sure, man.
the last one was in Vegas, and Vegas is also a little bit cheaper, I'd say, and it's more spread out. New York, everything is
Yeah,
very
yeah.
congested, and
Ah,
it's small and expensive, and yeah, but
that's
you
gonna.
know, yeah. Yeah. Um, so what are the sales like out in New Zealand? I mean, is your biggest challenge the marketing, just getting the word out there?
To be honest, now I feel like for me, what I'm doing, a lot of people are reaching out to me. Like pretty this whole month, I'm kind of booked out,
Oh,
and
congrats!
yeah, so and a lot of the new artists. who learn from other places as well, reaching out to me now, or like, how can we? And I was like I said, man, like, you got end of the day, it's your business. It's you that you have to put in the effort and work to be out there in people's faces. I don't just do marketing. I'm always, at the gym talking to people. I see a bald guy, I'm like, I just walk up to him, just like, hey, what's up, man? Like, just have that conversation, build a relationship before I can tell him, hey, I do SMP. Um, but I think for me, it's good. I don't really, I had a good marketing team. I met a guy in Dubai, which now runs my marketing as well.
Wow.
And he's been real great since I've been back.
What
They
company, in
taking
case
care
people
of
are
that.
interested?
So it's himself that does it. His name is Said. Anybody that would want to potentially want a marketing agency or anything, hit me up. I'm more than happy to help you guys with that as well. And he's real beast with it, man. When I came here, like I've had just before coming, I've had 53 inquiries come through my email, which I never had that before, by the way.
Holy shit.
I was
Yeah.
I was doing my own thing, like as just anybody else. But these guys like kind of beasts at what they do. They target people's emotions, what drives them into the whole confidence thing. And I was like, trust me, sometimes when doing that, you pay a little bit from what you're earning to this, it just helps you so much. Like I don't really have to worry about that anymore. Oh damn, I have to wake up, do marketing. This like that's taken care of now.
I agree. I'm in that boat. I've had marketing companies. I've just I haven't been able to get someone to get
It's
me
hit and miss,
53
by the way.
leads in
It's a hit and
and quick.
it's a hit and
Yeah,
miss, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
And the thing with them, they don't really get you the lead come through straight away. They qualify them before coming to you.
Okay, so they filter out the
So they
bullshit,
they filter out the bullshit, get qualified, and then you get the guys that
and that's what we
want it.
want.
And that's what we want as well. At the same time, I feel like a lot of people still don't understand what SMP is. Some of them think still it's a hair transplant. Is my hair gonna grow?
I know.
And that's why I kind of like doing these small videos, because to educate whoever's coming into my page, just to cut that out, that it's like, hey, this not gonna grow anymore. That hey, there's no hair coming out. It's just an illusion of giving you hair.
I get that question all the time. Is my hair gonna grow? Which is good. That means it looks like hair. It means it looks like hair. It
Yeah,
means we tricked them.
for
That's
sure.
what I'll
Yeah,
give you a little tip that I do because all the leads I get, they'll call me and I'm like, eventually get to the point. It's like you copy and paste basically a generic message back to them.
for sure.
Because like I'm not going to sit there and repeat it. You might change the name in the text message or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I always say, because you'll run into this if you haven't already. There's a lot of guys who will come in, and I'll say they're in denial about their hair loss. So I'll talk to them on the phone without seeing any pictures or anything. They're like, "Yeah, I just got like a little bit of a receding hairline, you know." And then I'm like, "Okay." Then they come in, and it's like their whole top of their head. They got like 25 hairs on top. I'm like, "Bro, come on. Have you looked at that?" So what I say now is like, I want to make sure you're a candidate. Really, what I'm doing is I want to I want you to realize how much hair loss you really got, because I want to bring that pain, right? I want you to
For
feel the
sure.
pain of the hair loss. So I say, take a picture of the top of your head in good lighting and send it to me. I want to see
Yeah,
if you qualify for SMP, right?
you're the right
And
fit for SMP.
yeah, and really what I'm doing is I'm forcing that person to look at the top of their bald head, because
For sure.
it is so many people. It's like out of sight, out of mind. I'm like, motherfucker, your
Yeah.
whole it's all gone. You got 35 hairs. They're in
I had a
total
guy
denial.
yesterday, bro, and he's like, "Okay, will I get SMP?" And I was like, "Send me a photo." His whole thing is gone, and he has like a little ponytail in the back. And I was like, "Dude,
Cut
you
that shit
gotta
off.
shave that." Like, I can't. I'm doing SMP on there. Like, what? It's not gonna even look like what you want it to look like.
I know. If you could get
Yeah.
that guy, man, do a video of you cutting it off. Say, "Don't cut it, I'll cut it." You know what I mean? It'll be a good clip. It'll be a good video.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of videos that go viral.
What's it like? I saw you had the jade needles. Is it hard for you to get SMP products out in New Zealand?
No, you can actually just get them.
Just get them delivered, there's no
Probably just
issues?
shipping wise, yeah, shipping wise, probably take about a week and a half or
Okay.
so. About a week and a half. But yeah, that's why you kind of like stack your things up before.
Buy it in bulk?
You buy in bulk here before, like, in case you run out or something. But man, I went through so many different needles
Okay.
just to try out to see which impressions, which ones are nice. And you get some needles that just after a couple of, say 10 minutes and they start leaking, and it's like, oh man, I really
Don't get me started.
it's but I found the nicest one, and to be honest, hands down, even though I'm not sponsored by nobody or anything like that, I could hands down probably say the 5 p.m.
Really? Okay. The 5 PM
Yeah,
timer?
they're really, really,
Shout
really
out John
sharp.
Chandler.
Yeah, man. Hey, if you want to support us, help us out. But to be honest, they stay consistent. Like at one procedure, I used one needle for the whole thing.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, they stay consistent. They're very sharp, and I feel like the type of steel they probably using, it's real high quality. Um, they don't really leak or anything like that. So get the impression consistent throughout the whole way. Um, Other stuff, like I said, I tried them. It's annoying when they start leaking, and it's like, oh,
Yeah. Or
it's
the
just a
ink
mess. It
or
becomes a
it doesn't
mess.
show up, right? You do like 10, 20 hits and you're like, "Why the hell isn't anything coming out?"
Yeah, you start getting like some hits, some like it's like, well, what's going on
Or
here?
like a
But
splatter.
5 p.m., yeah, yeah, 5 p.m. for sure, man. Then they stay consistent. I've also used Anthony's one, the two RLs.
Okay.
The two RLs are very, very sharp.
Who is that? Who makes that?
But Anthony, I can't remember the page by hand.
Okay.
But his name is Anthony. Yeah, so he came up with the two RLs, and not many people use them. I believe Ronnie uses them quite a lot, so he's like a master at the two RLs
Okay.
because they're very super sharp, and if you don't know how to use them, create blowouts like crazy.
Yeah.
And I believe they're really nice, probably for the hairlines, 'cause super super fine.
Okay. Making that little
Yeah,
little line. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
did you and what machine do you use?
So I jumped around. I was using the Mast first, then I went to the Bishop,
Okay.
and then I stopped using the Bishop. Now I went to the Mast because Joe was like, "Hey, use this Mast, the wireless one, the small one."
Uh-huh. I use the mask too. I use the Dragon Hawk.
Oh, the Dragonhawk. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's what I use.
They got the new one. I can't remember by the top of my head, but it's real nice and light. It gives you a nice hit as well. And the great thing about it is when you finish, your hands not feeling sore. I
Yeah.
was feeling that with the Bishop. Like they're a bit heavy.
Yeah.
And when you're sitting there 3 hours or something on working on a client, more than that,
You want
your
light.
hands
You want
starts
it to be
becoming
light.
tired. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
your hands start becoming tired, fatigued, and you're like, okay, I don't want to do that.
I agree. I agree. What are your socials, Hamudi, and what is your do you have a website?
Yeah, so it's SMP by Hamudi.com and my Instagram as well, SMP dot by Hamudi, and TikTok as well, which I'm not so big at the moment on it. I'm building a portfolio before I start posting on TikTok, and also YouTube Shorts.
Okay.
Got a couple of videos up there. So I think once I have so many
Is your YouTube
videos on my
SMP by
Instagram,
Hamudi?
yeah, SMP by Hamudi as well. But once I build a lot of content in my Instagram, that's where I'm focusing on at the moment, my website and my Instagram. Then I'll start probably pushing more towards the TikTok and YouTube Shorts.
I'm not even know I mean, I have 1 follower on TikTok, and it's only because it's, a guy who convinced me to get on TikTok. Because I mean, you see, I got like 300 videos, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
I just put them on there, and I'm paranoid. I like Chinese government's getting everything on my phone. I'm a paranoid person. So I actually have a separate phone for TikTok. So here's my phone, then
Separate
I have
TikTok.
another
Yeah, okay,
phone
cool, cool,
just for
cool.
TikTok, and I
Just
just schedule the
yeah.
post. I don't even get on.
Because with TikTok, it's the algorithm. Yeah, the algorithm is crazy. Like you could get one video that go crazy viral, and you're like, oh shit, you
Yeah.
just don't know. That's the thing with TikTok. Yeah, it's not like maybe you get clients, who knows? But I think it's good to be out there and your face is everywhere.
The more here's my philosophy on that is, it's a good point, and we'll wrap it up after this. I think
Cool.
the more people might know you, right? You're familiar, your face is familiar, they see you. it builds rapport with them. And when you build the rapport with that person, the potential client, they feel like they know you. When they feel like they know you, they're more likely to come to you. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I just think, one of the biggest mistakes I made when starting out was for 2.5 years, I never showed my face, just my work. And I'm making up
Yeah.
for it. I'm making up for it because now you see me all the time. I don't shut up.
That's how you gotta do it, man. Why not? If you want to be out there, you gotta show yourself.
Hey, truly an incredible story, Hamudi. Thank you for
Appreciate
sharing
it,
it.
man.
We'll be talking again. Hopefully, we could do a
For sure.
collaboration and stay on, stay on.